Hello everyone, welcome to the 5G XR workshop. My name's Sam Watts and I'm going to be talking today about 5G powered theatre. I'm Immersive Partnerships Director for a company in Brighton called Make Real. We are immersive content studio working with all of the R's, AR, VR, XR, MR, etc. And my job is mostly to go around and evangelise the benefits of the technologies. We've worked with a number of large global companies and large companies within the UK space across a variety of sectors from automotive to construction, agriculture, telcos, and also within the entertainment and immersive spaces. My job primarily over the past 8 years now has been going around the world, traveling and meeting various hardware manufacturers and software developers to understand and explore and experiment with immersive technologies to determine which ones are going to come to market, which ones are viable in the long term, which ones we shouldn't bother with, which ones we should bother with. In the process, I've tried a lot of VR out from a variety of developers, and I've made myself quite ill, but through that we've learned what counts as a comfortable experience. Part of what we do, and part of what I've been doing as part of that exploration process, is going around and evangelising and educating around the benefits of immersive technologies. And much like today, reaching out to people who are interested in how these technologies can form new mediums, new content, new ways of storytelling. We believe that VR is a new medium, so by ensuring that we have a diverse and inclusive range of creators, then there's a diverse and inclusive range of content being made, which will greatly increase the chances of wider adoption. Part of that, we worked with a local theatre called The Old Market here in Brighton and Hove, and we've been running a series of VR labs for a number of years, where we would commission a number of works and have them on display for the public to come in and try out. And this was all very well, and it helped reach new content to new people, new audiences, but it's still very small scale. Alongside that, we ran workshops around design and development and encouraging more people to get into the space. But again, we always felt we could do more with the space and with the time. There's a number of problems with current sort of immersive theatres is that it's a single user experience, there's a low throughput of the audience, there's a high overhead of staffing, so you need a large number of one person per audience member to onboard them, offboard them, make sure they're comfortable and okay in the experience. Which makes it hard to monetize because you've got a lot of overheads. And it's hard to scale because you need a lot of staff and a lot of headsets and a lot of space. So for a lot of venues, there was sort of zero sort of plus revenue, plus positive net revenue generation. Last year, we took part in a program called Creative XR that was run in conjunction with Digital Catapult and National Lottery. And the idea is that there was a small funding pot available to create a prototype for a new experience. So our concept was, how could we increase audience numbers for a singular performance? How could we get more people into VR at the same time to experience something together? So we came up with this concept of a shared space experience where a number of people are in VR, and those who didn't want to be or couldn't be, they could then interact and be part of the narrative through augmented reality, seeing into that world. And then ultimately, this created our concept and our prototype for the time machine, produced with The Old Market, adapted and written by a well-known actor and writer here in the UK, Damien Goodwin, and developed by us, Make Real. So incorporated an interesting mix of 2D projected content, VR content, and AR content. But with a small team, there was only so much we could do with a small budget and a small time frame. We know that it had much more possibility. We demoed it as part of the marketplace within the Creative XR program. And again, whilst it was well received, it was clear that there was still only in small numbers. There was only 8 to 10 people on stage or within the performance at once. It still wasn't reaching that scale that we really wanted. Then when the 5G Brighton Dome testbed came along, we joined the Testbed Accelerator programme, also run at the Digital Catapult in Brighton, to explore how we could incorporate 5G technology into the process to scale up the number of devices supported, to scale up that audience size and start to try and reach some of those issues that we were seeing facing some of the traditional immersive content at the moment. So we had remote servers delivering content, and then all the devices, they could then receive and stream that content, or the package bundles of all of the content. And then theoretically, we could support a greater number of devices within the same space at once, without impacting technical performance as opposed to narrative performance. And it was very well received. And we were looking into, what would be the next stage, and how could we take this concept further. And the concept overall was 5G theatre in a box. So streaming content to devices removes the preload necessary, allows more collaborative audiences because you can throw more data around at the same time, and you don't necessarily, you can have people interacting and sort of inputting a lot more interactions together simultaneously. And then we came up with the concept of a third ring of the audience who don't have a device, but they can just enjoy the spectacle going on in front of them. And this was enabling scale so that you could ticketed performances, much like Netflix, they could rent a number of licenses, and it was all designed through our years of experience of deploying various immersive content and experiences that had very low operational overheads. And the idea would be a rental business model for venues of the future. And we had a number of partners lined up, and we were talking with in terms of the next stages and where do we go from here. But then, of course, as we know, in early March in the UK anyway, the coronavirus became widespread and the country went into lockdown. Suddenly, social distancing was key, and this particular experience was designed to be a shared space, something that we couldn't do currently. And a number of venues are still closed. There's been a recently, thankfully, rescue packages from the government to keep some of them going and financially supported during these difficult times. But we can't incorporate the experiences into venues. But it doesn't mean we can't take away some of those learnings. A number of VR immersive collaborative theatre experiences have now moved to VR headsets, which you can experience at home, but rather than being a shared physical space, it's a shared virtual space. So with networking and with 5G, these contents can be delivered a lot much quicker to people at home or people on the move, wherever they are. And one particular example was done very well mixing pre-recorded and live actors is the Underpresents Tempest. And this is a ticketed system where you buy a ticket for a particular performance and you join in with a group of strangers in this case. But what more can we do with 5G? What do we need to enable more powerful XR content? It's not just having more bandwidth and streaming it to a device. We need that low latency. Latency is a key issue in terms of comfort with virtual reality. The faster you move your head, we've got much higher frame rates. Those frame rates have to be rock solid. Any delays between a user moving or inputting and that being reflected within the content, that's going to add that element of nausea and sort of technical performance issues. So with 5G, we can at least, with a local system, we can beam to the devices now, but we need to ensure that we have devices on the edge within the cloud that have got rendering capabilities. Thankfully, that's where the NVIDIA Cloud XR comes in, where they've now incorporated high-end NVIDIA chips into those cloud nodes, so a lot of the rendering is done remotely, and we can take all of that away from the device, which reduces the weight and the battery and the power requirements, but also allows a greater number of devices to be supported. And with newer chipsets that are coming out, so Oculus Quest 2 has just come out, the Snapdragon XR2 is designed specifically for 5G and for these kind of devices in mind, being low powered and having a lot of content at high data bandwidth streamed to it. Released yesterday, in fact, or shipping yesterday. These are now available, but you can tether these to a 5G phone over Wi-Fi 6, and using NVIDIA Cloud XR, you can stream high-end, high-quality VR to these headsets without having to do any of the processing on the headset itself. That's been a quick overview in terms of what we've been doing with immersive theatre. There's a lot of opportunities there, using 5G to start beaming content to people's homes and devices, and I look forward to talking to the rest of you within the workshop to explore this further.